that we had posted online. That's shocking. It's concerning. So it was a good thing that we were so successful during this operation. Okay. I'm a dad myself, so once you start looking into, now she's not this old, thank God. She's still a little one, so that's great. I've got a few more years until she's a teenager. But, that was alarming as a father. And it touched home with me, and I hope it does with everybody else, that this is a real concern. It's a real issue. It's here. Nobody wants to talk about it. We want to pretend like it doesn't happen, and it would be great if it didn't. If I would have ran this operation and we had not made one arrest, I think internally I may have felt that I wasn't productive. But I think on the flip side of the coin is that would be extremely beneficial. That would be extremely positive to not make any arrests. We obviously want to encourage someone also, so switch gears a little bit. If you see something, say something. If you have daughters yourselves, or if you have nieces or nephews, or if you're out at a restaurant and you see something that doesn't look right, or if you're at a hotel, at the airport here in Louisville. We have a great airport here. So if you're at the airport and you see something that just doesn't seem right or it doesn't feel right, just make a phone call. We have 6 detectives that work for LMPD sex crimes. All 6 of us would gladly talk to you about your concern. I'm hoping that it's nothing, but we're there to investigate if it is. The telephone number for the LMPD sex crimes unit is 574-7672. Okay. Any questions?
Can you talk a little bit more about their backgrounds, like what you mentioned, what they did? Our understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, that one of them was a jockey, a well-known jockey. But can you talk to us about what careers they had, what they did?
I don't want to get into specifics, only because, to be completely honest, I don't want some sort of backlash to me or the investigation or the department, as it concerns, like, giving too much information. But it was shocking. They were all, all but just a couple, had full-time jobs. They were people in your community. Like I said, there was 3 from, close. They're right here. They're people that we come in contact with every day.
Can you talk about the setup? They thought they were meeting a 16-year-old. They go to the hotel. Which hotel was it? And kind of walk us through what happened.
I think we're going to withhold the name of the hotel out of respect and agreement with them because there is some, negative connotation associated with this. So I would hate to, they were so great working in partnership with us to allow. I hate for any negative kind of publicity to fall back on them. So, but that's what we did. We had 5 rooms total. On the first floor, we had a big room that we used for our communications room. That's kind of where all of the command staff was. That's where the computers and the cell phones were because we wanted to keep that separate from where the interviews were taking place. So then we had 2 adjoining, so 4 rooms total. The perpetrators were provided a room number. Once they came to that room number and made entry into that room, I think that kind of solidified their actions. So they were instantly taken into custody right then. We had 2 SWAT operators assigned to each room. Like I said, taken into custody without any incident. Once they were patted down and searched to make sure they didn't have any weapons or anything, they were walked through the adjoining room where they met me or one of my colleagues, and that's where we conducted the interviews at that time. Provided them with all the documentation that they needed, the citation, the tow tickets for their vehicles if we towed them, which we did a couple. We seized some of the money that they had with them because, that's a direct reflection of what your intentions were. So they received all that, and then it was really nice because the way the setup was that we had this time, they were taken out of the room, turned left, went out a side door, got into a police car, and drove away. So it wasn't at any time any danger to the community, fearing them fleeing or anything like that. So it was all just, it ran super, super smooth.
So when these men went into the room, were there officers in the room waiting for them?
They were meted by the undercover officer who had to answer the door, which we used females. So they were a female officer. She answered the door, opened it. They exchanged pleasantries. He stepped in, and they were instantly apprehended at that point.
Was the ad posted
communicating herself, or was it someone like who was managing her, I guess?
Sure, I completely understand your question. So, 16-year-old, if you were to reference that in the title of the ad, it would have gotten taken down, flagged for obviously being illegal. So, but what we had was we also had 2 other female officers or detectives in the communications room, and that's who they were texting with or on the phone with, and then those detectives or officers would relay the information to the other room so that we knew exactly kind of what the agreement was, what they looked like, what kind of car they arrived in. So we were prepared on the arrest side of it.
What websites were these ads posted on?
That's a great question. So we posted on a couple of websites. However, the majority of the guys said they just Googled. You know, I just searched for Louisville escort or something inappropriate that wouldn't be, you know, ideal to say. And then it took them to obviously other websites. To get into the specific websites, to tell you the truth, I can only recall one, and I believe it's City Guide or cityxguide.com or, you know, something to that effect. But they have done a great job. You know, there was a website that used to be utilized all the time, and it's been since taken down and is no longer operational. So
When this was in the planning stages, what goals did you guys have in mind? You mentioned that 115 people contacted the ads. Were
Sure.
you trying to hit a specific number of arrests? How does it explain that?
Sure. So obviously, anytime you do anything, you want to be successful. And how is success measured? Is it measured by 20 arrests or 50 or by 0? So really, when Lieutenant Lauder, who is the CO of the commanding officer of our unit, tasked me with this, I had thoughts of, man, I want to get a lot of arrests to show she picked the right guy for the job. We got 7 phenomenal arrests. Those are 7 perpetrators that went to jail that night that will never, hopefully, commit this crime again. You know, 1, I would have had the same emotion about, I think. You know, 0 would have meant there was nobody out there looking to try to do what they wanted to do with a 16-year-old. And I think that is a measure of success also. So no, we never had any, you know, set number or set goal. And it was really great kind of how we referenced our success based on the numbers we ended up with.
One more question.
How often do you do these sort of things, and what message do you want to send to people in the community who are thinking about meeting up with a minor?
Sure. So last year we did 3. I think that we are probably on target to do the same amount this year. I don't see any reason why we wouldn't. Obviously, we had success with this one, so I think that we're going to move forward in the future. And that's a great question also, because I don't mind to say that, because if it just causes one person to change his mind for the fear of being arrested and taken into custody, then I think that's great also. So I would say be prepared to see more of these in the future.
If they're convicted, what do they get?
That's too broad of a question. I mean, if, you know, obviously I can't speak to what the final result of their conviction is going to be. You know, both of these are serious felony offenses. I did want to mention that a couple of them were taken into or had additional charges of drug possession. One guy had a counterfeit $100 bill. So all of those are obviously going to play out differently in court. And it's going to be a lengthy process because they do at the end carry a prison sentence.
Do you have any sense of how big of a problem this is in this area? How often these meetups actually happen?
Yeah, you know, that's a great question. If police could or detectives could have some sort of a reference of how much is going on, man, that would make our jobs a lot easier. But we had 115 contacts. We had several dozen contacts after the stories were posted that these 4 men had been arrested the night before. And that's okay. But it didn't change their mind any. I mean, they were still coming out. They were committed to committing these kinds of crimes. You know, to tell you how often it happens, we don't know, but it's obviously an issue, you know, and we're working diligently. I mean, the command staff, they know it, they recognize it, and we're going to try to shut it down.
Thank you all. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Should we just say it was one hotel, Phillips? It wasn't multiple hotels, was it?
Because I don't even know the answer.
Okay.
I mean, I think you could say Louisville area hotel. That'd be safe.
So
Yeah.
it happened at several.
I don't even know that answer. We'll get, don't leave.
Okay.
We'll get your questions answered.
Thank you.